A young woman was driving her van when it suddenly stalled in the middle of nowhere. The only sign of help was a dilapidated garage ahead. Inside, someone was working. Was it her last hope, or just another dead end? She took a deep breath, knowing her life was about to change. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Revealed Stories. Today, I am excited to share a new story with you. Let's get started. The engine gave a final wheeze and fell silent. Kylie leaned on the steering wheel, overcome with a familiar feeling of frustration. The old van was her lifeline. She carried landscaping tools and delivered flowers after a hard day's work. Now the van was useless, like a stone on the road. She should have listened to her father and bought a new car long ago, but his voice gradually faded in her memory. Suddenly it dawned on her. Was there a garage on this road? An old-fashioned place her practical father would have approved of. A half-forgotten sign appeared ahead. Hank's Auto Service. The building matched her memories, peeling paint and scattered parts. Dirty car parts lay haphazardly outside. It was not a fancy place with shiny floors and trendy coffee machines. Here reigned pure oil and dirt. She sighed. It wouldn't be cheap, but there was no other choice. Driving onto the gravel lot felt like stepping back in time. A huge figure emerged from the shadow of the garage. He squinted against the bright sun. The man looked older. The wrinkles on his face were deep, like the marks left by tools on his workbench. It was definitely Hank. He didn't smile, just snorted and said one word. Problem? Kylie took a deep breath, preparing for the conversation. He was not a support staff member who could be charmed. This person seemed to have bitten his nails for breakfast. My van won't start, Kylie said with difficulty, feeling like a 12-year-old again, hurt and without her father's sympathy. Hank didn't waste time on pleasantries. He quickly headed to the van with the grim determination of a doctor going into surgery. Kylie followed him, a mix of hope and fear swirling in her stomach. She never understood cars. She was interested in flowers, soil, and growth. She found herself as far away as possible from her comfort zone. Hank abruptly opened the hood, his voice making Kylie flinch and breaking her thoughts. Hank didn't look at her but impatiently pointed at the mechanism, trying to open the hood. Kylie felt her cheeks flush. This was not her element at all, and grumpy mechanics were not known for their patience. The hood rose with a plaintive creak, revealing the dusty heart of the engine. Hank leaned over, his movements precise, his hands disappearing into a tangle of wires and belts. Every sigh and curse from him made Kylie anxious. After what felt like an eternity, Hank came out with a frown and said the battery was dead. Possibly there was an energy leak, he muttered, wiping his hands on a dirty rag. Kylie's relief mixed with fear as repairing the car threatened to hit her budget. Before Kylie could ask anything, Hank had already started listing parts and amounts, her mind trying to keep up with the flow of information. The best I can do is start it, but this van has seen better days, he concluded, leaving a heavy feeling in the air. Better days, Kylie repeated in her mind, knowing that this van had very few such days in its past. The horizon loomed with the threat of rent increases, slow business, and rising bills, creating a fresh wave of irritation that threatened to overwhelm her. caused by complete exhaustion. It must have shown on her face, because Hank's next words surprised her. His rough voice softened more than before. "Not my business to ask, but you seem..." He hesitated, searching for the right word. Overwhelmed. Kylie wasn't used to being seen so clearly. Usually she hid everything behind a smile and a fighting spirit. But Hank, with sharp eyes smeared with grease, saw right through her. Suddenly, the tears she stubbornly held back threatened to burst out. "Just," she began, her voice trembling. "Everything seems..." She couldn't find the words to describe the chaos of bills, breakdowns, and disappointments. The van, that stupid van, just the last straw. To her surprise, Hank didn't look annoyed or indifferent. He just leaned on the car's fender, crossing his arms. "Sometimes it all piles up," he said, "like too much dirt in an old carburetor." He paused, a flicker of understanding in his eyes. "You can't fix everything at once, you have to..." He stopped, gathering his thoughts to help her tackle difficulties step by step. His words unexpectedly struck Kylie. Not pity or sympathy, but straightforward practicality, resonating with her stubborn nature. The weight on her shoulders felt a bit lighter. Maybe she couldn't fix everything at once, but she could repair this van step by step. Her voice grew more confident. "What to do first? What are the basics?" Hank smiled slightly and said, "First a new battery, then we'll see what else this old lady has left." A spark of hope ignited in Kylie. She smiled faintly. Everything was complicated. A broken van, a tangled life. But with Hank and her stubbornness, she could fix everything. The next 2 hours flew by in a frenzy. Under Hank's grumbling, Kylie became an amateur mechanic, holding flashlights and tools, studying the car's parts. They worked in unison. Hank diagnosed, Kylie fixed knocks and clicks, noting every step forward. The work was hard, but cleared her mind. Her worries receded as she focused on the repair, forgetting problems and pain in her soul. This was her path to recovery. She was searching for new strength in her muscles. But this time, landscaping skills didn't matter. Between the fuss and awkward pauses, unexpected conversations arose. Hank grumbled about new car designs and modern computerized devices that couldn't be fixed with a hammer, and strong cursing. He recalled long-past drag races, hinting at wilder years of his youth beneath his rough exterior. Kylie, in turn, shared fragments of her life. A landscaping business that barely covered expenses and a dream to start flower delivery. Unexpected laughter echoed in the garage as she recounted the failed attempt to dye a client's poodle pink. "Flowers? I've never understood them," Hank muttered. But there was respect in his voice as Kylie described her plans. He lived in a world of oil and metal, but understood hard work, determination, and the relentless desire to create something with his own hands. A new battery brought the van to life, and Kylie beamed with happiness watching the result of her labor. Relief and pride washed over her. Hank, as always, barely smiled, simply stating that it was enough to get to the right place for now. The bill payment was painful, but unexpectedly fair. Instead, she got something else and began, hesitantly choosing her words, to ask about other problems burdening the system, about more serious breakdowns. Her voice faded. She understood she couldn't afford a major repair. But the thought of the van breaking down again was terrifying. Hank shrugged, wiping his dirty palm on his forehead, and said problems needed to be tackled one at a time. If she came back next week, they could dig deeper. His face softened a bit. He admitted he had time, not much work, and after a pause, said she was pretty good with a wrench. It was the closest thing to a compliment she could get from Hank. A warm feeling spread through her body, not only from the physical work, but also from the unexpected approval. Throughout the week, a spark of hope lit up in Kylie's eyes. I can do this, right? She thought. Maybe she should bring some coffee? A slight smile cut across Hank's wrinkled face. You have to be strong, he muttered. Sarah left Hank's garage feeling lighter. Her problems, rent, bills, business, still remained, but no longer seemed so impossible. Today, she didn't just fix the van. She found strength within herself and connected with Hank, the grumpiest mechanic in town. She had no plan, but she had a goal. A week passed, then the second, then the third. Tuesdays at Hank's became part of Kylie's routine, an island amid busyness and work. She would come by after her landscape design job, bringing greasy food and strong coffee. The radio played old rock that Hank supposedly hated. They worked great together. Kylie's sharp eye and unconventional thinking sometimes even surprised Hank. He didn't admit it, but respect grew. Kylie became his apprentice, learning to diagnose faults with his help and gaining new skills in the garage. You could tell the condition of the vehicle by the engine sound. The van improved under their care, but was far from perfect, showing its age and troubles. He was reliable, like Kylie, a bit clumsy, still figuring out life, but growing stronger every day. One afternoon, a new voice cut through the usual noise of the workshop. "Well, well," said the man in the expensive suit next to the shiny luxury car. Hank came out, his usual frown replaced by alertness. "Don Carter," he muttered irritably. Kylie climbed out from under the van, wiping her dirty hands on her overalls. Don Carter turned out to be Hank's enemy, a slick businessman with a chain of luxury car dealerships. He wanted to buy Hank's garage, but Hank refused to sell. The air tensed when Hank firmly said no. Carter looked at Kylie appraisingly, her dirty overalls and tousled ponytail. "Hank, things must be going badly," he added maliciously. Kylie forced herself to straighten up. "I'm just helping," she replied firmly, showing no doubt. She said it clearly and distinctly. "And I know a thing or two about machines." Carter's deceitful smile vanished when genuine pride appeared on Hank's face. Among the tools and mechanisms, Kylie realized she was in her place, despite the opinions of people like Carter. Don Carter left, leaving empty promises of easy money. Hank shook his head, muttering about the relentless advance of chain stores and smooth-talking businessmen. "Are you okay?" she asked, meaning more than just that argument. Hank grumbled that he didn't like change, that he used to fix cars and give honest prices. He gestured toward the world beyond the garage doors, where shiny stores promise quick repairs and instant satisfaction. Kylie confidently said he did good work. "They may be flashy, but they don't know cars like you do," she said. Hank looked at her for a long time and finally said, Sometimes I forget you have a good head on your shoulders. For a man who loves flowers. That was the highest praise Kylie could imagine from Hank. They spent the rest of the day fixing the carburetor together. Silence was filled with cozy mutual understanding. Before leaving, Kylie made a decision. The next week, when Hank was tinkering under the hood of a classic Mustang, she approached. She was carrying not dirty takeout food, but an old notebook. "I have an idea," she said, opening the notebook with rough sketches and notes. It was her dream of a flower delivery van, but redesigned. The design included a foldable workbench and storage shelves to make the most of the space. She even found parts in the junkyard that could work with a bit of ingenuity and hard work. Hank looked at the sketches, his expression unreadable. "What the hell is this?" he barked. "A flower shop on wheels?" "Something like that," she replied with a determined smile. "But more, roadside assistance with an ecological focus. Oil changes, minor repairs, and flower delivery," she explained. "For those who appreciate both practicality and beauty." A slow smile appeared on Hank's face. It was an idea he might like. The transformation was unexpected, like a cactus blooming in the middle of winter. He said it might be a crazy idea, but the work had to begin. The days promised to be long, muscles ached, and there were more problems than they could imagine. But they were ready for the challenges. Kylie's flowers had a light, oily sheen, and Hank's hall gained several new plants, creating coziness and life. Standing among the tools, with the setting sun, they felt the possibility. It wasn't about trendy stores or loud promises. It was about hard work, problem solving, and quiet pride in creating something real that you love. If you enjoyed this story, like and subscribe to the channel to see more stories like this. Write one word in the comments about what feelings this story evoked in you, and be sure to watch the video currently on the screen.